Hello and welcome to the agenda. I am Ajay Kaul. Today we will discuss about the continuing stalemate at the Ladakh border with China. It's 8 months since military confrontation between India and China began in the eastern Ladakh sector of the line of actual control, and there is no end in sight. Several rounds of talks have taken place at the level of military commanders and other levels, but the stalemate continues. There have been agreements on disengagement, but on the ground there has been no visible movement. Now, with the harsh winter setting in, the window of disengagement has closed down till the next summer. In the agenda today, we will discuss these aspects and related matters in an effort to understand the situation. We have with us two defense experts, retired Brigadier Sandeep Thapar and retired Group Captain MJ Vinod. But before we begin our discussion, let's have a look at this report.
Harsh winter has set in Ladakh, but the military standoff between India and China continues in this mountainous region of the line of actual control. 8 rounds of talks at the level of military commanders have failed to end the face-off, and there is no clarity on the next round, which both the sides had agreed to hold. A joint statement issued after the 8th round of military commanders meeting held on November 6 said the two sides had candid, in-depth and constructive exchange of views on engagement along the line of actual control in the western sector of India-China border areas. While committing to hold the next round of meetings soon, both sides had agreed to maintain dialogue and communication through military and diplomatic channels and taking forward the discussions to push for the settlement of other outstanding issues. However, according to people in the know, the deadlock persists because China is refusing to withdraw its troops and restore the pre-May status. It wants India to pull back its troops from the friction points first, but India asserts that it was China which moved its troops forward first. It should pull back first. Amidst this deadlock, the arrival of winter is sure to make the possibility of any withdrawal all the more difficult. For those not aware of the topography in that region, it may well be pointed out that those mountains receive very heavy snowfall, laying a dense white blanket whose depth sometimes is up to 20 feet. During winter months, the region sees temperature dropping even to minus 40 degrees Celsius, accompanied by strong chilly winds. The Indian Army has set up facilities to keep its soldiers comfortable on the mountains along the LSE, while they remain alert to foil any nefarious designs of the enemy. The accommodation includes heating arrangements along with electricity, water, healthcare and hygiene. Clearly, Indian Army is prepared for a long haul. Bureau Report.
Now let's welcome our guests, Brigadier Thapar and Group Captain Vinod. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
I'll begin by asking Brigadier Thapar. It's 8 months, sir, now, and winter has already set in. So how do you see that situation, that stalemate continuing?
See, whatever had to happen, if some kind of kinetic clash was to take place, it was to take place
for October end or mid-November. That period has gone. Now there is no other option for both parties to wait out the entire winters, probably till April, May, by which a lot of things would have changed on ground in the subcontinent and in the world political environment also. You see, the changes which are taking place, firstly, is that COVID vaccine may come. That will impact on the world geopolitics. Thereafter, the US election, which I'm sure during discussion we'll be elaborating further on that. The result of the US election, then a new president coming in, will also impact on this theater. And both nations having dug in, having established positions, maybe may like to change their aims in the next 4 to 6 months. It's a long period. So let's wait and watch. As I see, both nations are waiting and watching as to what the other is doing and hardening their plans for the various options for once the pass is open.
So, Group Captain Vinod has just joined us, so I'll ask him the same question. How do you see the continuing stalemate in Ladakh?
I clear Dajaji, long so. Winter Swamiji, we are, like Brigadier covered, we are used to living and fighting in extreme cold climate, being there, and we've been there and done that. Siachen is a great example. Most of the soldiers who are going to be there or who are there are, battle ready and battle worn soldiers who have spent a long time in cold and high altitude regions. Can the conscript army of PLA boast of the same? That is a question I want to ask you and I want to ask the world. These soldiers have been picked up from, somewhere in the plains of Beijing and etc. and have been brought here. We have to understand how the, Chinese armed forces or the PLA armed forces are put together. The people who are on the forefront are the sons of the south. They are kind of rangers. Picked up, they get enrolled and they retire from that. They are not regular army who are in contact. The contact army is the regular army which come from one of the military regions and they train hard and they are trained for 15, 20 days war or at the most a month's war. And thereafter they have to disengage. These 4 to 5 months of extreme harsh winter, the snow is beating down on you, wind is whistling on you. This is going to be the Chinese soldiers who are going to come in. So that is something we have to see how it is going to affect their mind, how it is going to affect their bodies, and how many people at the end of this winter are going to, have frostbite and die. We have to see all this because it is not a new game for us.
Right, Brigadier Thapar, as you heard, Group Captain Vinod saying that, like, we are battle-hardened soldiers. We have been there. We have been on the LOC. We have been on the Kargil heights all through. Chinese don't have that experience. But my question is, like, now, as we have discussed earlier also, now, earlier LAC was different. It had a different character. Now, LOC, we were there on the LOC. Now, LAC has also become like LAC, which stretches out our troops, isn't it?
Yes, firstly, I can't hear the group captain properly. There seems to be some audio issue, so there may be a certain amount of repetition between what he says and what I have said. See, yes, this place
was never meant to be eyeball to eyeball confrontation because a lot of it is inhospitable. Like old saying, the blade of grass also doesn't grow. So, if both the nations have had to hold posts, earlier you were holding on isolated posts more as a presence, and certain areas, yes, you did have heavy presence, but otherwise you were holding on to isolated posts in the on the line of control of LAC, and understanding between both nations that certain areas would be left unheld. That is all changed the past 1 year or so. That is all changed. So yes, we have for the present we have a situation where they've also come and sat down. We also sitting at places we were not sitting earlier. We occupied this place also. So it's a eyeball matching. Defenses have been hardened. Infrastructure is created. I'm told a lot of emergency buying purchases have been affected. We always had the equipment required, Indian equipment required.
Yeah,
We
please.
had the equipment, but we made some emergency purchases, and now our troops are billeted well in that place. Rations was never a problem, ammunition and equipment was never a problem. But but yes, maintaining that high amount of equipment because the attrition that takes place. So that's a major logistic challenge, but I'm sure we are well prepared and well stocked. So is the Chinese. Let us not assume that the Chinese are conscription soldiers and they'll be not well prepared. And from what I'm reading, China has also been creating required infrastructure on its side, and given technological standards and the pace with which it constructs things, it has done a pretty good job about it. So it is also prepared well. So we should not downgrade the Chinese soldier to say that they are not well. Enemy should never be taken lightly.
Right. So, Group Captain Vinod, as Brigadier Thapar said, that we cannot underestimate our enemy, and China we know is, I mean, very dicey country. But so many people are asking, actually, are wondering whether war will take place. And as Brigadier Thapar said that if there was any possibility for any or window for kinetic action, it's over. What do you say?
I mean, I've been saying this window for kinetic act not only is over, now is the time for to see how what metal are both of the armies are made of. Now, these 4 to 5 months will tell us कि आप किस मिट्टी के बने, what kind of training you've got. I totally am in agreement with Brigadier when he said that they are very well prepared. Very well prepared in terms of logistics, yes. In terms of giving shelters, yes. In terms of supply chain, yes. But what about the mental strength? What kind of training have they gone through to go through these 5 long winter months or 4 long winter months? As the snow thaws, I want to see how they emerge. Are they going to emerge victorious, or are they going to emerge?
But Group Captain, as we know, China, even if there are casualties because of harsh winter on the Chinese side, we will never know.
It won't
Nobody will
matter.
know.
That is true. That is absolutely true. But my point is just 2 things. We need to demystify the logistic lines of communication for our viewers, logistics lines of communication, and the battle readiness as far as mind is concerned of the book. These are 2 different aspects altogether. One aspect is a given. He's got enough finances to lay down the red carpet for the soldiers for them to have a comfortable winter months. From the organizational side, they have done everything to do so. But the second aspect is here, and everyone knows, you and I, that any battle is a battle of mind more than brawn. That is what I want to see. Maybe for 3-4 months down the road, or maybe in between, we will have one more show. Some information will trickle. We will have one more show, talking about the mental readiness and the strength of these Chinese soldiers, which I very much doubt for simple reason that this is their first time that they are getting exposed to such harsh winters, and for us it is not. We have been in harsher winters, we have been in higher altitudes, and we have seen some harder battles. That is my point.
Yeah, you are right. We have seen harsher battles and we are all deployed. We have seen Kargil and we have seen, I mean, Siachen for decades and decades, how we have been there and fighting fit. But at the same time, we had to maintain the logistics supplies. As Brigadier Thapar, I want to ask you. Now, since now there will be more and more snow, supply routes, the road routes, particularly this one, Zojila one, will be closed. So, how do you see that at that situation? Will there be some kind of crisis or something?
See, as you are aware, this is a sector which is strange, unlike any other in the world. For the past 30 odd years,
the pass is closed. What 30 odd years? Ever since
we deployed in the sector, the pass is closed for a specific period.
Right.
There are 2 lines of communication. Earlier there were 1, now there are 2. Both of them close for specified periods. Our army has worked out a system where the summer months, the the road open period is used to stock adequately for the winter cutoff period also. Besides that, for the troop movement on leave or reinforcements, the air lift is available at Chandigarh. So this thing started in Feb March. Our planners, I'm sure by mid-June, had worked out that there would be a long standoff. Stocking has been done. I'm told, I'm well aware that adequate stocking has been done to last because there are no more troops which are going to be cut. The troops which are available there, adequate stocking has been done for all the required sources. And should there be an emergency, air effort is always available. We have adequate air lift capability, uh, IL-76 and two American aircraft heavy lift. Uh, so you can always carry emergency. So I don't see logistics as a major challenge. Yes, there is a certain amount of challenge on the powered posts because our road infrastructure is still weak.
Right.
I would say, I may disappoint your viewers also, say that the Chinese have built a better infrastructure in shorter time than us. Uh, uh, I believe they've corrected all their fortifications now in this 6 months also, most of them, and we are still not been able to do it. So certain problems, but then we bank on porters, we got our transport to ferry stuff. So I'm not saying we have problems.
Logistic-wise, we are not too well equipped, but we are adequate. We have adequate resources available to last out the winters and a little more. So on that account, I do not visualize any major problems for the Indian Army. I assume the Chinese have also built adequate infrastructure for their troops which are deployed.
Brigadier Thabra, as we also earlier you mentioned about US change of guard in US. So as we know, Trump was maybe a little hard on China, and Biden is not. So that will also have an influence. So after January, so could the game change on our Ladakh border?
See, it's a very complex game. First, we have to see what is the aim of China. Chinese aim is twofold. One, as is obvious, that he doesn't want any competition in the Asian subcontinent. He doesn't want India to match up to its power, become a superpower, to challenge China. Now, it can't really stop us from becoming a regional power, but it would do its best to keep us down there so that we really don't challenge it. The second is it has to make sure that we don't totally fall into the US camp, because a combination of USA and India versus China, America is far away from China. It's a continental, two separate continents. Yeah. So there is a certain amount of threat perception. But if China faces India also along with America, so then it's got a problem because we share land borders. So it obviously does not want us to go to fall totally in the American land. Those are two twin aims of China. Now, coming to Biden. Now, Biden is definitely not as hardcore as Trump is. But individuals do not make the foreign policy of nations, very rarely. So foreign policy or national interest are supreme. So this national interest of America is at this moment. Earlier it was anti-Russia, that not let Russia, USSR match its power or challenge its power. Now it's China, because USSR has substantially dipped in all factors. Now it's China. So obviously the relations will remain inimical. They will remain hostile, but the degree of hostility may decrease, definitely not increase, but decrease. So there may be less trade wars, there may be less fracas over South China Sea, or fingering the Chinese in support of Japan and Korea and Taiwan. So I do see that little temperatures will dip between the two nations. I mean, they will not become too hot as they were in the Trump era.
Okay, Group Captain,
That impacts us because America would also not like turmoil in this region.
Right.
Especially if you see it with Corona vaccine coming in, the entire world would be recovering from a bout of 1 year plus of uncertainty, economic downfall, and a lot of other things. So they wouldn't want that. Suppose the vaccine is successful and everyone starts implementing. No superpower will want the world to go in turmoil again, and a war between China and India will definitely have international repercussions. So it's kind of a jumbled situation where it can take any direction. And I'm quite certain that even China does not want war with India at the moment.
Right. So we are running out of time. Group Captain, I want to ask you the last question. So as Brigadier mentioned about that, we should not fall into the American trap, or in fact China is also saying that we are falling into the American trap. That is why we are doing all the, according to them, aggressiveness. What do you say on that?
Yeah. So I will break this down into three major pieces. One is the change of guard, the question that you asked, the change of guard at the US, which Brigadier has adequately answered. Single person does not dictate the foreign policy of a nation, and especially USA. Maybe a little bit China, because Xi Jinping is wearing three hats, which we have discussed earlier: the chairman CMC, as well as the premier of the country and the premier of the party. Whereas in USA, it is a lot of professionals sit together, and there is a long-term foreign policy, which they toe that line for a while, whether it is Trump at guard or Biden at guard. But you should also see that there is one Kamala Harris on guard, as well as assisting Biden. But be that as it may, second, the major fork, as I see, is how the thawing of snow happens when the snow is picking up between India and China. And that I feel there will be, Ajayji will mark my words, there will be improvement in the relations between India and China in the coming months. Both the leaders will, take things to normalcy further and further. And by the end of this winter, hopefully, I'm just keeping my fingers crossed, hopefully we should see things thawed, and hopefully we should be back to, before what Galwan happened. And we supplied one drone to Indian Army, and I happened to travel there recently, a couple of weeks ago. I traveled there 2 years ago when we climbed a peak, and traveled there a couple of weeks ago. Things have changed a lot, especially the logistics lines of communication on our side has become much, much better in the last couple of years, which is a very heartening thing to see. You must have seen one C-130 carrying out a landing and taking off from DBO yesterday, day before. So DBO is now well connected with C-130. C-17s are bringing
that is there since 2012, I guess.
No, now it is going to be a regular affair. You will see them regularly operating from DBO, C-130s. A-32 operation is different from C-130 operation from DBO, because C-130 can bring in more.
No, I think C-130 landed there in 2012, I think. DBO, isn't it?
No, this winter will continue. That's
okay, yeah.
Now C-17 is going to be, it has become a game changer, especially bringing in load to Leh is concerned. So all these things put together, our logistics line won't get stretched much as it was, a couple of years ago in that region.
Right.
And things have improved a lot. So all put together, yes, there is a lot of room for improvement. I totally agree with that. But all put together, it has been an upward trend towards, connecting the logistics line. A stagnation which we saw in the, from late 90s to maybe middle of 2000.
So I think the communication has improved, but we have to keep our fingers crossed. I don't think we can be complacent being with China. But
we should not be.
Yeah.
We should not.
Thank you both of you for participating in this debate.
Thank you.
This is all in the agenda today. Thanks for watching. I'll be back with another important topic tomorrow. Till then, goodbye.